we will have a brief look on each Reiki symbol and all of them, why they look so different. Because usually you have one method, one spiritual method, which is called Reiki. And then in the second level and in the third level, you have symbols which look completely different, and it looks like they don't belong to each other. And now let's find out why. Let's go back to Mikao Usui when he was living. This was in a time where there were still samurais and complete area like a Japanese Middle Age. And during his lifetime, the Japanese world changed completely to a modern state. And one thing that did not change was the fact that in Japan they have, since many thousand years, or more than 1,000 years, different types of spiritual traditions. And one spiritual tradition is the folk shamanism of Japan. Another one are influences from Daoism from China, like Onmyodo and other traditions. And then there's also the Shinto. It's a type of Japanese shamanism influenced by the Chinese Daoism. And then again, since the 6th century in Japan, we also have the Buddhism that was brought from Korea, and later on many different styles and schools of Buddhism from China. And they all brought spiritual wisdom and knowledge to Japan. And the special thing in Japan is, if a new tradition comes to Japan, they don't destroy the old one and only look and live for the new one. No, they keep the origin and they take the new one. And then they are working with it, and later on they will adapt things to one tradition, from one tradition to another. And those spiritual traditions are the origins of the original Reiki symbols of Mikao Usui. And Mikao Usui, when he was a child, samurai child, he had to go to school. And this was a Buddhist monastery school where he was learning writing and reading and other skills. And of course, there he was in contact with Buddhism. And in this case, not only Zen Buddhism, like silent meditation, but much more. He was in an esoteric Buddhist temple, which is still in the city Taniai, where he was born. And then he, of course, was in contact with Shinto. This is a Japanese kind of shamanism. And in the same city where he was born, in Taniai, there's a Shinto shrine. And there's also an inscription about him and some people of his family, because he was setting up in this place of the Shinto shrine a big gate, a so-called torii. This is a portal where you go into the shrine, and this means that you not only go through a door, but also you go from one astral plane, the earthen astral plane, the material world, into the world of the spirits. And this big gate he was building up there for the shrine. And this is why we know quite exactly that he was dealing with Buddhism and with Shintoism. And if we have a brief look on the Reiki symbols, then we can see exactly this Japanese tradition of syncretism of different spiritual traditions in the Reiki symbols. This means the Chokurei symbol, the power symbol, comes from shamanism. And The mental healing symbol, the Seiheki, comes from esoteric Buddhism, and the Honcha Shonen for remote contact. This comes half from Buddhism and half from Daoism, so there's a syncretism. And the master symbol Daikomyo, this comes from Buddhism, but the way it is used in Reiki is still a Daoist influence. And there you see, wow, this is quite a lot. And we see in the Japanese culture and in the history of the spiritual traditions, we find all those Reiki symbols. And because these are so different, those traditions, there we have the reason why the symbols are looking so different. So this means the Reiki message from Mikao Usui is like a mirror of what was happening in spiritual Japan during his lifetime. And we are using exactly this. In the next videos, I will go in detail into each of the symbols in different videos, and we will look on the different aspects of those symbols to know more about it, and then you will know and recognize that it is possible to do much more with the symbols than we thought before, like just Reiki power up, mental healing and remote contact. So there's much more possible if we know those traditions in detail. So see you in the next video and have a nice time.